Steelers are better with Justin Fields at quarterback. Fact or fiction?
Incomplete. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Russell Wilson is with Arthur Smith. I would expect that it's fiction, just based on the fact that Russell Wilson has more experience, and we've seen Russell Wilson be a viable, good quarterback. Now, not necessarily in the last couple of years, right? I mean, there were some things that he did last year where you were kind of like, oh, he's got a little bit of something, with Russell Wilson, and we can still see that there is something there. And I think his experience, like I said, the veteran presence, the fact that he's seen more coverages, can diagnose things. And look, when he's on, he can still throw a really pretty deep ball, but I don't know his level of chemistry with George Pickens. I don't know his level of chemistry with Pat Freiermuth yet. And it probably isn't where it could be because of the calf injury. So I want to say fiction, and I guess I will say fiction, but really it's an incomplete grade.
Well, and I'll do a little twist on incomplete. It's kind of like based on a true story. When you see that start of a movie or a TV show, what that means is some of the stuff you're about to see actually happened. Most of it is just pulled out of thin air and or someone's butt, and you won't know what's true and what's not true. Just sit back and enjoy it, because you can take some solace in the notion that some of the stuff you're about to see, we're not telling you what, actually did happen. So I feel like that's what it is between fact or fiction. We just don't know, because we saw the one moment preseason, Ford Field, Detroit Lions fans acting like it was a regular season game. Loud and proud. 3rd and long, Russell Wilson fired the dart on the left sideline to George Pickens, and that's what I think won him the QB1 job, because Justin Fields was a little all over the place in the preseason. It was exciting, but it was also kind of like exciting in a way that, yes, exactly. And there's a point where you enjoy it, but it's also exhausting. And I think that could happen with Justin Fields and the Steelers. And yes, we are talking about the Steelers here, not anything else that would be both chaotic and eventually, after about, 8 years, totally and completely exhausting. But I think that it's not known yet. And long term, I've said this from the get-go, and I've since heard some things that back up what I believe. They are better off with Justin Fields long term. He's a dozen years younger than Russell Wilson.
Yes.
And he fits with what that offense is trying to do. They just have to refine some things. He has to improve in some areas. When there's a receiver, as Bruce Arians would say, wide ass open, heading into the end zone, you've got to get the ball into his hands. You can't throw it 10 feet over his head. So I think for now, they're clearly better off with Justin Fields at 100% than Russell Wilson at whatever percent he's at. And that's the key. They got to keep Justin Fields healthy, because next it's Kyle Allen if both guys are injured. But I think for now they're better off with Justin Fields, and this will make them better down the road and in the future with Justin Fields, because I think he's the guy they want to eventually step up and earn the job beyond this season.
Certainly. I mean, that because of all the things you said. I mean, he's a younger quarterback. The ceiling is a little bit higher than it would be with Russell Wilson, who is, let's call it on the back 5 of his career rather than just simply saying it's the back 9. So, I think long term, obviously the Steelers would want to see Justin Fields take the mantle and run with it. But, I mean, you didn't score a touchdown in week 1, right? You had opportunities, and Boswell ends up having to make all those damn field goals, which is good that he did it. Credit to him, and credit to him for getting that punt off after Johnson got hurt. But at the same time, when you have a guy who is open like Pickens was down the field in the clip we just showed, like, he's got to be able to give him that ball in stride so that he can take it and then get his ass into the end zone, right? When you have to get off track and track the ball, and then you catch it and then you fall and then you get touchdown, and then you end up kicking a field goal when you had an op to get into the end zone for 6 at that point, that's where it's like, okay, let's refine this. That's better than throwing it over his head, but it's not as good as hitting him in stride and allowing him to do what he can do after the catch.
I think the Steelers are in good hands with either guy, and it also gives them a chance to let Fields play. And if Fields isn't good enough at this point, if he has a rough outing, that the defense can't overcome, then you just go with Russell Wilson and say he's QB1, and he always was. And he's not losing his job because he wasn't healthy. You didn't bench Justin Fields. I feel like they made the strategic decision. It's better to start the season with Wilson when you look at the schedule. I made that point. We talked about it last week or the week before. I can't remember. Yeah. But they play 3 teams from the AFC West in the first 6 games. The way the schedule falls, you got 3 primetime games, Cowboys, Jets, Giants at the end of the first half of the season. Then the bye comes week 9. They could switch to Justin Fields then. Now they can always go back to Russell Wilson. This is a great situation for them to be in. They won last week. It wasn't pretty, but it was Steelers football. Great defense, grinded out 6 field goals, key plays in key moments, rattled Kirk Cousins, got the win in Atlanta, and now they go to Denver and try to go to 2-0. By the way, to close the loop on how we started the show, when we asked whether or not a mouse can be a pet, I've been reminded of the movie Ben, which was a sequel to the movie Willard, which was based upon a rat that was a pet. And the theme song of Ben was sung by, do you know this, Myles? Do you know
Michael Jackson?
Your 70s music?
Okay. Oh my gosh.
I'm just making sure, because you don't know the movies, but you know the songs.
I mean, you give me Michael Jackson trivia? What is this, amateur hour? Come on, man. It is a weird song. I mean, you know, I used to say I and me. Now it's us. Now it's we. You're talking about a rat? Really? I don't know. Yeah. But yes, of course, it's Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And there was
my mom would be if I didn't know that. Oh my goodness, my mom might call me up during the commercial break if I didn't get that right. Holy crap, man! Oh my gosh,
that song
should be embarrassed.
That song at one point made its way into a Simpsons episode that I think is no longer available to be seen unless you bought the DVDs when they came out, where there's a version of Ben that has, I think, Homer. Homer, I think, is inserted for Ben in that version of Ben. Okay. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.